Hi, I'm Eve Young, Jerusalem Post economics and domestic affairs correspondent, here in the studio today with Dr. Rotem Sivan,
Hi.
who is a mother of 3 kids, 2 of whom are young men in the IDF, 1 in reserves, 1 in active service.
Yeah.
And you are also a member of Ima Era, Awake Mother, an organization that has been pushing for an end to the war and a day after solution. I think we want to focus first and foremost on the recent return to expanded fighting in Gaza, the significant reserves call-ups we've seen. Tell us your reaction as a mother to soldiers fighting in Gaza. Your son is in the Commando unit, and he was in October 7th.
He was fighting,
He was
yeah.
fighting on October 7th, and he spent around a year fighting in Gaza and also in Lebanon. Tell us your reaction as a mother to this resumed fighting.
I have to say, my first reaction, I was terrified, really, to hear that. We were looking so much forward to see the end of the war, going into some solutions, some discussions. It started, the talks with Hamas, and then everything blown in our face. And the government said, we're going back into war, and it is horrifying, really scary to hear, both as a mother and as a citizen. And now that I have so many mothers around me with kids, some of them are already in Gaza. So it's scary, both for the lives of our kids and for the future of the country. And we feel it must be stopped. We were just talking today about how can we stop this from happening. It's supposed to happen next week or within the next 2 weeks. And we really feel we need to stop it before more soldiers will be killed and before the hostages will be killed. Because we know now that the going back into fighting might kill hostages by accident or not by accident, by Hamas. And we really feel this is not the way to bring them back, and it's not the way to bring peace and security to the region.
Can you tell me more broadly about your experience as a mother of soldiers fighting in this war over time, and also how that's changed as the war has changed?
Well, when we started, I became an awake mom on the 7th of October, when my son went in on the first day. And I always cry when I say that. I'm sorry, but he was texting us, the family, that he's going in and go donate blood. This is what he said.
Wow.
He was already seeing what's happening. He was in Nahal Oz, and I woke up the exact minute. I stopped being everything else, and I've become a mother of a soldier. And since then, I felt something must be done, that this war and this fighting must have a purpose, a political purpose, an end point to achieve. That it's impossible that the army is doing all this amazing work and all these kids that are going in, giving their lives and their friends, without having any purpose to look for.
Do you mean like end goals for the
Yeah,
war?
and end goals for the war, something that will bring peace and quiet and security and will bring the hostages. And in the beginning, when we started, and I met other mothers that felt like me, and we started talking about it and saying, what the hell is going on? Why is it keep on going without... We don't hear our leaders talking about what they're aiming at.
Like
we hear the army,
for the day after.
the plan for the day after. And as it went on, at the beginning we felt maybe they don't know how to do it. Maybe they're all, insecure or maybe confused about how to deal with the situation. It was a terrifying situation, of course. But as time went on, we understood that this is something that is meant, that they do not want to talk about the day after, since it's going to endanger the coalition. Since there are so many different voices inside the coalition and so many voices that are calling to go on with the war forever and to conquer Gaza and stay there. And we all understand that bringing back the hostages must come with an end to the war, and we have to give something in order to get something, and giving land or end of combat is something that some of the coalition people do not want, especially Ben-Gvir and Smotrich and their people. And as it went on, we really understood that this is something that's not a confusion state. It's something that is aimed at, and they are not going to talk about the day after or aim at that. And and they will, if it's up to them, they will keep on the war forever, since
Can
it's giving them the opportunity to go on and continue as a
as a
coalition.
coalition.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about how that feels as a mother, feeling that you don't trust that the reason for this war is anything for the benefit of the people, but rather, as you said, you feel
Well, we feel
it's
that
purely political?
we feel they're playing with the lives of our kids. We feel that they do not honor the lives that we've been giving them. You know, it's a kind of a contract that was never written, but a contract between mothers and country, mothers and government. We raise our kids and we raise them to go to the army and to serve and to do their best to protect Israel. And the government, on the other hand, should, on their side, do everything in their power to do everything, not to use their lives unless there is no other choice. And this is not happening. And now that the contract is kind of broken, it's difficult because, well, our sons were already raised and sent, and they're not asking us. I have to say, some of them really angry at us because this is what we told them to do: go and serve the country, go
You're
and
angry
serve.
at mothers in Ima Era
Yes.
for protesting.
Yeah, I mean, inside our homes,
Yeah.
inside our families, it's very difficult. It's a conflict, and it's a terrible conflict for them because they understand what we're doing. They see the political side of it and why we're doing it. But on the other hand, again, they have their friends in the army, which is more than brothers, you know. And they will do everything to protect the lives of their friends. And my son, now he's on vacation. He's coming back next week because he's got his Tzav Shmone. And I told him, maybe you don't come back. And he said, I can't. If my friend's going in, I cannot stay behind. I know what you're talking about. I understand what you're saying. But if they're going in to fight, I will be there with them. And it's a terrible conflict that we do not need to put on their shoulders. It's not for them to decide. It's not for the army to decide. It's for the leaders to decide. It's for Netanyahu and for the government. And this is why we call them. We almost never go for the army leaders. We did it in the last month because we felt that the chief in command is again, he's going against his own beliefs. He was saying one thing, and government said the other, and Netanyahu said other things, and still he's sending my son to fight. So we did address him in the last letter we wrote, but most of the time, and even now, we address Netanyahu and the cabinet, the war cabinet.
Can you tell me a little bit about the name of the organization?
Yeah, well, it's Awake Mom, or we call it in English Moms Up, because woke was already taken by others.
Was already
yeah. So we decided not to use that, but this is exactly what we are. And it's because we were awake, woke, but physically. We did not sleep in the
because
first 6 months.
Children.
We did not sleep. It was horrifying. I mean, I was so tired the whole time. I could not sleep more than a few hours at night. And on the other hand, we awake to the situation, we awake to the danger. We understand now that everything that was before the war, the danger to democracy and to the Supreme Court, everything is now more obvious and in a different light. And we cannot stand on the side and just wait for things to happen. We have to act. And this is why we found ourselves acting as we did.
Tell us more about the organization's demands of Israel's leadership.
So first of all, we demand that there will be a discussion of the day after. And this discussion will take in account not only the end of the war, but also a wide agreement, regional agreements with our allies and not allies in the region, and the Islamic less extremist parties, as Saudi Arabia, as Egypt, as the others. And we feel this is the only way to bring security into the region. Only by agreements you achieve security at the end. Wars always end in agreements. So we don't understand why we have to keep on going with the war and not going into agreements. So this is first. The other thing is, again, that every decision to go into war, as they do now, will be after a very deep discussion in the cabinet about other options. That other options, political options, will be discussed before going into those tactic options. I mean, the army knows how to bring their tactics solutions, but and the law, I have to say there is a law in Israel that they have to discuss other options before they decide to go into a war, and they do not do it. Now, when we started looking at it, we found out that they did not do it in the last 15 years. So we read things that was written by the state comptroller, again, about Lebanon II, and about Tzuk Eitan, and about the Marmara, and every time Netanyahu was going into war without a deep discussion in the cabinet about other options and other solutions. And he did it now, and they keep on doing that. And this is our second and very important call. Another thing that we are dealing with is the draft bill, and that during this year and a half, our kids is fighting again and again and again. Reserves are doing hundreds of days a year. Families are being ruined by that, and businesses are being ruined. And there's so many people in Israel, the Orthodox, that could join in this year and a half and already be in the units fighting with them and letting them get some rest. And it's not happening, and we are taking part in these discussions in the Knesset, and hopefully some solution will be found, but it doesn't look like it for the moment. And it's something, again, when we talk about this contract between country and citizens, it's kind of betrayal. And it really feels like a betrayal in the soldiers that they let them not go into service. We're talking about 80,000 Orthodox that could go and don't. So this is the most important, I think the three most important things. And what we are aiming at in the future is writing this contract. Again, we already started doing it with a lot of amazing women that sat together and brought their own ideas about what this contract must have inside. And hopefully we will not only write it, but also bring it to the people, to the Knesset, to Israel, in order to make it a common knowledge for people to understand that it's not demand it, but they deserve it. We deserve better. And this is what we're aiming to do.
Dr. Rotem Sivan, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.